So we're going to mock the 2025 NFL Draft, but every prospect who's ever lived is on the board, based on their pre-draft hype, tools, and scouting reports. But there's one rule. A maximum of 6 quarterbacks can be drafted. So with the first pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Andrew Luck, quarterback, Stanford. This is how the Titans get back on the map. Now, there's debate as to who was the best quarterback prospect of all time, but it was either John Elway or Andrew Luck. But in this universe, Tennessee wasn't sure Elway wanted to play for them. And Luck was a once-in-a-generation combination of arm, intellect, and mobility, wrapped up in the most dorky package possible. He was so polished at Stanford that scouts said he could have started in the NFL as a sophomore. And now the Titans finally end their quarterback chaos that they've been in since Steve McNair exited. Mariota, Malik Willis, Levis, the suffering's over. Luck walks in and immediately gives the Music City a shot at a postseason run. They don't have a whole lot of talent to put around him, but that's okay. Indy didn't either. He just needs to be protected. By the way, if you're into football content like this, subscribe so you don't miss my other videos. And with the second pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select John Elway. Well, that's weird. The Browns finally get the quarterback who once refused to play for a team just like them. In 1983, Elway forced his way out of Baltimore before he ever played a snap. But this time, Cleveland doesn't flinch. They take the generational talent anyway, and they dare him to change the story. And Elway is more than deserving of this pick. Elite arm, great mobility, elite confidence. He was billed as the best quarterback prospect of his era for a reason, and many would say the best of all time. He brings credibility to a team that's lacked it, and Cleveland has a perfect veteran in Deshaun Watson who can teach Elway how to be a true professional. If Elway is down, this could be the start of something big for Cleveland. And with the third pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Trevor Lawrence. But minutes after the Elway pick, just like in 1983, news breaks that John Elway is refusing to play for the team that drafted him. And just like in 2004, the Giants stand to benefit. In a stunning trade, Cleveland ships Elway to New York in exchange for Trevor Lawrence. Sound familiar? It should. The Giants already once built a championship core around a quarterback who forced his way to them. Eli Manning refused to play for the Chargers, but 2 Super Bowls later, no one questioned it. Now it happens again. Elway lands in New York, and the Giants get their generational quarterback. The guy who could have rewritten Browns history is now tasked with reigniting the Giants franchise. And with the fourth pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Orlando Pace, offensive tackle, Ohio State. Orlando Pace popularized the term pancake. Nicknamed the Pancake Man at Ohio State, Pace was 6'7", 330 pounds, and possibly the greatest offensive lineman in college football history. He was a Heisman Trophy candidate. I think that tells you everything you need to know. He was the #1 pick in 1997 and instantly lived up to the hype, protecting Kurt Warner during the greatest show on turf and carving out a Hall of Fame career without saying much of anything. Now he becomes the foundation for Drake May in New England. After a brutal rookie season where May was running for his life, Pace brings stability, dominance, and veteran poise from day one. One might go receiver here, but that can wait. This is how you protect your investment and rebuild in the trenches. And with the fifth pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Ndamukong Suh. The Jags have Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker on the edge, so to clog the middle, they draft Suh. In 2009, Suh was a Heisman finalist as a defensive tackle, and a lot of people think he should have won. If not for attitude concerns, there's a more than reasonable argument he was the best draft prospect ever at any position. He wrecked entire game plans at Nebraska, then he waltzed into the NFL and immediately started suplexing quarterbacks and drawing personal fouls like they were bonuses. That's what makes this so perfect for Jacksonville. They need a great defensive tackle, but they also need a tone setter, a villain. And sure, Suh picked up some flags along the way. And if you've ever watched your team get cheated by a terrible flag during the most important part of the game, you're obviously not alone. And the worst part is the fact that you've never been able to do anything about it. The refs can ruin your night and get away with it. But with Penalty Verdict, that no longer has to be the case. It's a new app that lets you vote on penalty calls in real time during NFL and college football games. When a flag is thrown, a poll automatically pops up and you vote on it. Was it a good call? Was it garbage? Your opinion gets counted. You'll also get access to data on referee performance, see how the rest of the community voted, and use stats to back up your takes. You won't sound crazy anymore when you say your team gets robbed week in, week out because you'll have the receipts to prove it. The app is available on both iOS and Android, and the team behind it is looking for feedback during the offseason. They want to know what you want to see before kickoff this fall. Sign up and let them know using the link in the pinned comment so we can hold the refs accountable this year using penalty verdict. And with the 6th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Bo Jackson, the most obvious Raiders pick. They take arguably the greatest all-around athlete to ever live. Bo Jackson was 230 pounds of muscle, supposedly ran a 4.12 40-yard dash, even though I think we all know that's not possible. At Auburn, he won the Heisman, and in the NFL, he flashed greatness in Oakland as a part-time player before injuries took it away. But not this time. In this universe, he's full-time, full strength, and fully unleashed in Vegas. He brings the Raiders swagger and brand the franchise has missed for decades. Instead of a mid-30s Raheem Mostert or Sincere McCormick, they get quite the upgrade in the backfield. And with the 7th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Joe Thomas. Once again, Joe Thomas skipped this NFL draft to go fishing, but he'll show up to block for Justin Fields and Breece Hall. Thomas was one of the most technically sound offensive line prospects of the modern era, and we know he has the mental makeup to just put his head down and go to work playing for a losing franchise. Sure, it might have been a little more flashy to toss an all-time great receiver prospect into New York, but Justin Fields needs all the time he can get back there to process. And with the 8th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Calvin Johnson. Bryce Young hits the lottery. Xavier Legette's mediocre. Adam Thielen's old. Jalen Coker is intriguing, but come on. Calvin Johnson is the greatest wide receiver prospect of all time. At 6'5", 240, with 4.35 speed and a 43-inch vertical, he was a complete alien. He got triple covered and still cooked every DB in his path. Now he becomes the wide receiver 1 for a Panthers team that finished near the bottom of the league in most offensive metrics. He gives Bryce Young a safety blanket, a vertical threat, basically everything he could possibly need. This might also be the biggest height difference between a quarterback and wide receiver. And with the 9th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Peyton Manning. The Saints have been searching for a real quarterback since Drew Brees left, so now Peyton Manning is that guy. This universe is really weird. But let's not forget, this isn't just a pure football fit. Peyton's father, Archie Manning, was once the face of the Saints during their darkest years. He played with heart, but rarely had the help. Now, decades later, his son arrives in the Big Easy to do what his father could not. Peyton was one of the cleanest quarterback prospects ever. He didn't have the biggest arm or any speed, but he had the brain, the leadership, and the obsessive prep that made him a walking game plan. Now, New Orleans gets the ultimate field general, someone who commands the huddle, adjusts protections, and wins the chess match before the ball's even snapped. The Saints are back in business. And with the 10th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Courtney Brown, edge rusher from Penn State. Courtney Brown looked like he was built in a lab. 6'5", 270, ran a 4.52. Coming out of Penn State, he was viewed as the next Reggie White, basically. A prototypical edge rusher with strength, speed, and freakish upside. There's a reason he went number 1 overall in 2000. The Bears take a swing here, not because Brown was a sure thing, we know his real career fizzled out, but because the version of Courtney Brown coming out of college, that guy was terrifying. And that's what Chicago needs. This is a bet on talent and potentially rewriting one of the draft's biggest bust stories. And with the 11th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Warren Sapp. Hailing from the days when the U ran college football, Warren Sapp came out of Miami with unmatched quickness, violent hands, and a motor that ran hot from whistle to whistle. He fell in the real draft due to character concerns, but on talent alone, he was a top 3 lock, a prototypical 3-technique nightmare who lived in the backfield. Now he's headed to a 49ers defense that's in desperate need of a tone setter up front. Sapp gives them interior juice, pass rushing firepower, and the kind of attitude that fits perfectly with San Francisco's identity. Aggressive, loud, and unapologetically violent. He'll fit right in next to Nick Bosa. And with the 12th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Lawrence Taylor. This is what happens when Jerry Jones gets to play with the time machine. Lawrence Taylor isn't just the greatest defensive player of all time. He's the reason left tackle became a premium position. He changed the game, and now he gets dropped into Dallas, where his brand of chaos is exactly what a Cowboys franchise that's gone soft needs. At North Carolina, he was pure fury off the edge, and in the pros, he redefined what an outside linebacker could do. Nobody blocked him, nobody slowed him down, and nobody dared talk trash, because he might actually kill them. But just when you thought the drama was over, Micah Parsons gets traded. Jerry Jones clears the deck to make room for the cheaper Lawrence Taylor on a rookie deal, and in a move that shocks everybody, Bill Belichick resigns from UNC the moment LT is drafted to go back to the NFL and coach his first true love, Now Belichick's back on an NFL sideline, and Lawrence Taylor's in silver and blue, and the Cowboys just became a problem again. And with the 13th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Charles Woodson, cornerback, Michigan. It's a good thing Dallas took LT because Miami needs an edge rusher, and I'm not sure Lawrence Taylor and Miami is a good combination. But Charles Woodson will do. Heisman winner, national champion, lockdown artist. Charles Woodson was everything you wanted in a corner. Smooth, physical, smart, versatile. He could shadow your wide receiver one, blitz off the edge, drop into zones without blinking, and he also returned punts and took reps at receiver. Don't forget he snatched the Heisman from Peyton Manning. Now he joins a Miami defense looking for a new identity. With Jalen Ramsey aging and the secondary in transition, Woodson steps in and immediately becomes the best player on the team, helping to slow down Josh Allen and Drake May. And with the 14th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Michael Vick. Vick was unlike anything scouts had ever seen coming out of Virginia Tech. Carried that team to a national championship appearance. Left-handed cannon, 4.25 speed, supposedly impossible to scheme for. Now he joins a Colts team that's dealing with basically a poor man's version of Michael Vick, but with all the nonsense they've been through already with Anthony Richardson, they end that experiment and scoop up a quarterback prospect who was revolutionary. Vick gives them instant playmaking, instant fear factor, and a level of unpredictability that makes every game must-watch. And with the 15th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett came out of Texas A&M with absurd measurables. 6'4", 272, 41-inch vertical, 4.64 speed, and somehow played better than he tested. He was dominant, polished, and extremely consistent. It's easy to forget he was one of the biggest number one overall locks of the 21st century. The Falcons have had one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL for nearly a decade, but Myles Garrett will change that. And with the 16th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Tony Mandrich, offensive tackle, Michigan State. All right, let's get weird. Tony Mandrich might be the greatest prospect bust of all time, but as a prospect, he was a freak, considered the best O-line prospect ever at the time. He was 6'6", 315, ran a 4.65, benched 225 for 39 reps, and looked like a comic book character. He was dubbed the Incredible Bulk for a reason. In this alternate universe, he probably ends up flaming out again. But the Cardinals don't know that. They land on what they think is an absolute monster to protect Kyler. If you've made it this far, tap the subscribe button if you haven't already to help me in my journey to 1 billion subscribers. And with the 17th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select LeVar Arrington, linebacker, Penn State. At Penn State, Arrington was an absolute monster. The LeVar leap, where he hurdled an offensive lineman to crush the running back, still echoes through college football history. He had 20 tackles for loss, 9 sacks, and 2 block kicks in his final season alone. Edge rusher, linebacker, doesn't matter. He blurred the line between both. He was a rare mix of freakish athleticism and star power. Charismatic, dominant, compared to Lawrence Taylor before he ever played it down in the NFL. Very similar to Micah Parsons too, but an even better prospect. Cincinnati needs an animal in the middle of their lifeless defense, and Arrington gives them that from day one. And with the 18th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Kyle Pitts, tight end, Florida. Kyle Pitts has not been good in the NFL since his rookie year, but as a prospect, he was getting absurd hype. People were saying the next Travis Kelce was basically his floor. At 6'6", 245 with 4.4 speed and a catch radius wider than the state of Florida, he was thought to be pretty much unguardable. He won the Mackey Award, averaged nearly 18 yards a catch, and was the highest drafted tight end in NFL history for a reason. Now he joins a Seattle offense that already has Cooper Kupp and JSN. Pitts adds another dimension. Seattle thinks they're getting a mismatched nightmare who can line up outside, in the slot, or in line and cook linebackers and corners alike. But that's probably not how things are going to play out. And with the 19th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Luke Kuechly. This is pretty straightforward. The cleanest, purest linebacker prospect of the modern era. Luke Kuechly didn't rely on some freakish athleticism or crazy hype because he played at Boston College, but he dominated with preparation, instincts, and film study that made him basically a coach in pads. At Boston College, he started as a freshman and immediately led the team in tackles, and then topped it again. 159, 183, and then 191. His numbers were absurd, and the tape was even better. He read plays like he was from the future, like he knew where the ball was going before the ball knew where it was going. And even though BC struggled as a program, scouts knew how good Luke Kuechly was. Tampa Bay has a legacy of elite linebackers. Derek Brooks, Levante David. Kuechly joins that lineage with a brain hardwired for football and the toughness to back it up. And with the 20th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the 1993 the Denver Broncos select O.J. Simpson, running back, USC. Denver needs a running back desperately, and O.J. Simpson coming out of college was an icon. He led the nation in rushing twice, was a Heisman winner, and the smoothest open field runner football had ever seen. The juice was loose. Now he's the Denver Bronco, teaming up with Bo Nix to give the offense a true workhorse running back. Simpson brings patience, vision, burst, and charisma. Perfect for the weirdos out in Denver. A complete back with Hall of Fame tools.
That's why they call me Juice, right here.
Yeah. And with the 21st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Caleb Williams. I thought about RG3, I thought about Joe Burrow, but I think as a prospect, Caleb's the pick. I mean, he's basically the prototypical modern quarterback. Insane arm talent, escapability, creativity, and stylish fingernails. He's got a Mahomes-like arm and the emotional stability of your girlfriend. The Steelers have been in quarterback poverty since Ben Roethlisberger retired. Now they get a guy who will thrive with DK Metcalf and George Pickens. And with the 22nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Randy Moss. You can't coach 6'4", 4.2 speed, and a 47-inch vertical. I said earlier Megatron was the best receiver prospect ever, but purely from a talent perspective, Moss has just as much of an argument. He only fell in the 1998 draft due to ill-founded character concerns. The fact that he was relegated to playing football at Marshall in college was a joke. The guy caught 54 touchdowns in 28 games. And on the Chargers, he and Justin Herbert would be as great a combo as there has ever been. Herbert was constantly bombing at 60 yards to Mike Williams. Imagine what he'd do with Randy Moss. And with the 23rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Deion Sanders. Green Bay just got prime time. Deion Sanders was the fastest, flashiest, most dynamic quarterback prospect ever. 4.2 speed, lockdown coverage. This is a guy who could shut down half the field while moonlighting as your best return man too. In Green Bay, he becomes the face of a defense that needs identity, attitude, and some showtime. And with the 24th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Herschel Walker, running back, Georgia. The Vikings once traded their entire future for Herschel Walker. In this reality, they just drafted him. In his prime, with no strings attached. Walker was a powerhouse at Georgia, rushing for nearly 5,300 yards in 3 seasons and winning the Heisman. He also ran track, did ballet, and bench pressed small trucks. Now he lands in Minnesota to dominate there like he was supposed to the first time. The trade was a disaster, but this pick is redemption. And with the 25th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Walter Jones, offensive tackle, Florida State. Possibly the most underrated Hall of Fame lineman of his era. Walter Jones was super quiet, consistent, and damn near unbeatable in pass protection. He was as good as any player in the league at any position. In Houston, he makes CJ Stroud's life easy. With Laramie Tunsil gone, the Texans need a left tackle. Someone who can block the best edge rushers in the league without needing a double team. Jones gives you that and then some. I feel like he was always a 99 in Madden, by the way. And with the 26th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Reggie Bush. The most electric player of the 2000s is back in Los Angeles. At USC, Reggie Bush was a human highlight reel. Cuts, spins, absurd acceleration. Many viewed him as the best running back, weapon, whatever you want to call him, prospect of all time. Now he returns to LA to inject juice into a Rams offense that, yeah, they have Kyron Williams, who's fine and all, but the Rams don't pass on Reggie Bush here. McVay will use him everywhere, much more effectively than New Orleans did. Screens, sweeps, slot routes, and Bush will make defenders pay for trying to tackle in space. He just needs to stay away from the Kardashians. And with the 27th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens bore everybody and take Quentin Nelson, guard, Notre Dame. If you want violence in the trenches, you draft Quentin Nelson. Nelson was a rare guard who got top 5 hype, which is extremely difficult to do these days, and he's more than lived up to it. Baltimore is built around toughness, around running the ball, bullying you at the point of attack. Nelson fits perfectly. Maybe Lamar can actually reach the Super Bowl now. And with the 28th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Jadeveon Clowney. Clowney had the single most iconic college football highlight of the 2010s. His entire tape was violence. He was 6'5", 266, ran a 4.53. The ceiling was thought to be Hall of Fame. Pairing Clowney with Aiden Hutchinson gives the Lions one of the most athletic, unrelenting edge duos in the NFL. Dan Campbell is giddy. And with the 29th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Bruce Smith. The NFL's all-time sack leader returns to the place he ended his career. He was a physical freak, a technician, and an engine that never stopped. He set the standard for longevity and dominance off the edge, playing at a high level until he was 40. I thought about Chase Young here, but that would have been messed up. Please let me know about all the stupid picks I've made so far and how I don't know ball. And with the 30th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Jalen Ramsey. Pretty simple here. Buffalo needs help in the secondary. Ramsey gives them lockdown potential and positional flexibility. Can play corner or safety. Maybe he can be what they need to get past Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. And with the 31st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Julius Peppers, edge rusher, North Carolina. The man was half defensive end, half NBA power forward. Julius Peppers came out of UNC as a two-sport freak, 6'7", 295, and moved like a safety. He could bend, bull rush, and block kicks. Swiss Army knife is usually used to describe players in the secondary, but Peppers was one in the front seven. The Chiefs got bullied in the trenches during the Super Bowl. Peppers fixes that. He brings size, speed, and rare athleticism to a line that needs help rushing the passer. Chris Jones inside, Peppers outside. And with the 32nd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Sean Taylor, safety, Miami. This might be the steal of the entire draft. Sean Taylor was the best safety prospect, maybe ever, and the best prospect in the 2004 draft, period. A 6'2", 230-pound freight train with cornerback speed. He led a Miami defense stacked with future pros and absolutely lit people up. But he went 5th in 2004 because he played safety. But in Philly, along with Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, that's an all-time secondary. And if you love the NFL Draft, click here to find out what happened to every number 2 pick of the 2010s.